Today we are going to do 6th lesson in grade 9 science, the human circulatory system. So this circulatory system transports blood throughout the human body. It is a closed system. Heart is the organ that pumps blood into the blood vessels of the circulatory system. Now we are going to observe the structure of the heart and learn about its functions. You should remember circulatory system transports blood throughout the human body and it's closed. Closed system. And also heart is the organ that pumps blood into the blood vessels of the circulatory system. Structure of the human heart. Here you can see a longitudinal section of the human heart. Superior vena cava, and here right atrium, here left ventricle, here inferior vena cava, left ventricle, left atrium, pulmonary artery, left pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins, bicuspid valve or mitral valve. Here you can see tricuspid valve. Here you can see semilunar valves. Here in this picture, the same heart, but it shows the way the blood is flowing. So look at the arrowheads. Here it shows superior vena cava and here inferior vena cava. Both are coming to the right atrium with deoxygenated blood. And this deoxygenated blood transport through tricuspid valve to right ventricle and goes to pulmonary artery through pulmonary valve or semilunar valves. Then this pulmonary artery transport to the pulmonary artery transport blood to lungs, and then here through pulmonary veins, oxygenated blood are coming to left atrium, and this oxygenated blood is going to left ventricle through mitral valve or bicuspid valve. Then it's going to the aorta through aortic valve or semilunar valve. Here in this picture, it shows clearly these valves. Tricuspid valve located in between right ventricle, right atrium and right ventricle. Mitral valve located in between left atrium and left ventricle. Pulmonary valve or semilunar valve located in starting point at the pulmonary valve. Starting point of pulmonary artery. And aortic valve or semilunar valves. Starting point of the aorta. In this picture shows a normal heart. Now let's identify all those things in a clear manner. Superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, both are coming Both are coming to right atrium with deoxygenated blood. Then it passes through tricuspid valve here, tricuspid valve to right ventricle, and then it passes through semilunar valves or pulmonary valve to pulmonary artery. Then here pulmonary artery transport blood to lungs. In this side it goes to left and this to right. Then pulmonary veins from lungs to left atrium with oxygenated blood. When this deoxygenated blood are going to the lungs supply oxygen to the blood and then again pump into the pulmonary veins to the heart, and it called oxygenated blood. And this oxygenated blood now in left atrium, now they are going to the left ventricle, passing through mitral valve or bicuspid valve. Then it's again going through aortic valve or semilunar valves to aorta. Then aorta transport blood to the organs. As you saw in the pictures, the heart has 4 chambers. The upper chambers are called atria and the lower chambers are called ventricles. As you saw in the picture, there are left atrium, left ventricle, right atrium and right ventricle. These are the 4 chambers of the heart. There are 2 valves between the atria and ventricles. Bicuspid valve is in between the left atrium and left ventricle. Here, bicuspid valve or mitral valve is in between left atrium and left ventricle. This is left atrium and this is left ventricle. Tricuspid valve is in between right atrium and right ventricle. This is tricuspid valve. It's in between right atrium and right ventricle. There are 2 main arteries connected to the ventricles. Aorta starts from the left ventricle. Pulmonary artery starts from the right ventricle. Aorta starts from left ventricle. Here is the aorta. It's starting from left ventricle. Pulmonary artery starts from right ventricle. Pulmonary artery starts from right ventricle. There are semilunar valves at the starting points of the main arteries. Aortic semilunar valve is at the starting point of the aorta. Here, aortic semilunar valve, starting point of the aorta. This is aorta, starting point of the aorta. Pulmonary semilunar valve is at the starting point of pulmonary artery. This is pulmonary artery and semilunar valve or pulmonary valve is starting point of the pulmonary artery. Main veins are connected to the retina. The superior vena cava and inferior vena cava open to the right atrium. Let's see. Superior vena cava and inferior vena cava opens to the right atrium. That's true. Left and right pulmonary veins open to the left atrium. left and right pulmonary veins. Okay. Left and right pulmonary veins open to the left atrium. Now we are going to talking about arteries, veins and capillaries. When we are talking about arteries and veins, you should remember arteries are always taking blood away from the heart are known as arteries. So you can remember arteries are starting from A and also away. Arteries are away. Then ventricles towards. I'm writing towards. The pulmonary artery, which starts from the heart, transport blood to lungs. Aorta supply blood to other organs. Within an organ, an artery further divides into arterioles and then into capillaries. Pulmonary arteries start from the heart. Here, pulmonary arteries start from the heart, transport blood to lungs. And then aorta supply blood to the other organs. Aorta supply blood to the other organs. The capillaries join together and form venules, and venules join together to form veins. Pulmonary veins starting from the lungs take the blood to left atrium. Pulmonary veins starting from the lungs take the blood to left atrium. Veins from the organs above the heart join the superior vena cava, and veins from the organs below the heart join the inferior vena cava. Both the inferior and superior vena cava open to the right atrium. When you get the heart, there are organs above your heart and below your heart. Organs above your heart, veins from the organs above the heart connected to superior vena cava join to superior vena cava. And below the heart join to inferior vena cava, and these both superior and inferior vena cavas are coming to the right atrium. And here to the heart, it's veins from the heart or away from the heart, arteries. Now here, main veins divide and forms veins. Then veins divide and forms venules. Further divide of venules forms capillaries. Then again, main arteries. They are divide and form arteries. Then arteries divide and forms arterioles. Then arterioles are divided and forms capillaries. The artery walls are thick and elastic, so it can withstand the high pressure of the blood being pumped directly from the heart. You should remember artery walls are thick and elastic, can withstand the high pressure of the blood. When you get veins, you should remember the pressure of the blood that flows inside the veins is relatively low, hence the walls of the veins are thin and less elastic. The valves in the veins open towards the heart to prevent the backflow. Walls of the capillaries consist of a single cell layer. As they spread among the cells, the nutrients and gases in blood diffuse into cells, and the waste matter in the cells diffuse into the blood capillaries. Okay, then here artery. When you are comparing vein to artery, you can see walls are thick. Walls are thick and also elastic. So when you are comparing vein to the artery, you can see walls are thin and less elastic. Components of blood and their functions. When you are talking about blood, you're always seeing a red fluid. But only 55% of its value is in liquid form. This liquid part is called plasma. The other 45% of its volume consists of corpuscles, which is in liquid form. Which is in solid form. So, in this table, blood can divide into two parts, corpuscles and plasma. Plasma, 55%. Corpuscles only 45%. Then plasma, we can divide it into three parts as water, things soluble in water, things insoluble in water. When we are getting corpuscles, you can divide corpuscles also into three parts: red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. A microscopic observation of a blood sample shows three types of corpuscles: red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets. Here you can see in this picture microscopic view of blood sample. In this picture, you can see red blood cells and platelets. These are called red blood cells, and this purple color things are called platelets. In this picture, you can see clearly a platelet and also some red blood cells. This is a clear platelet. Here in this picture, you can see red blood cells and also white blood cells. Here, these are white blood cells. Now, let's discuss about functions of blood. Red blood cells. Red blood cells contain red pigment which called hemoglobin. Red pigment. You should remember these cells contain red pigment called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin carries oxygen from lungs to the body cells and also gives blood its red color. Hemoglobin gives its red color to the blood. White blood cells. White blood cells define the body by destroying pathogens and producing antibodies. Red blood cells are categorized into neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes, and monocytes. So this white blood cell simply responsible for the immunity system. Platelets. Platelets help in the clotting process of blood at the bleeding site from virus infections cause a rapid decline in platelet percentage. Example as dengue. So in this picture, there are no platelets. Might be affected by a virus. It might be there are no platelets in this picture. Plasma. The main function of the plasma is transporting substances dissolved in it. Some examples are given below. It transports the digestive products, minerals, vitamins to the cell because plasma is a liquid form. It transports the excretory products during biochemical reactions with the cells to the excretory organs. Plasma transport hormones, proteins, enzymes, and gases to the relevant part of the body. Our last subtopic, blood transfusion. What is this blood transfusion? The transfer of blood from one individual to another. The transfer of blood from one individual to another. The person who donates the blood is known as donor. It's easy to remember. Donates, donor. Person who receives, recipient. Person who receives the blood is called recipient. So when we are talking about blood transfusion, we said the transfer of blood from one individual to another individual. So, however, blood transfusion is not possible between any two individuals. You should consider about some factors. Compatibility of blood group and the rhesus factor between the donor and the recipient. This is a compulsory. Checking the blood group and the rhesus factor is a compulsory. Compatibility of blood group. There are 4 blood groups as A, B, AB, and O. So, depending the protein components present in the blood cells. So in here, compatibility of blood groups in transfusion is represented in this table. Donor and recipient. Blood type AB, ABO. When donor gives blood, A-type blood, only A and B recipients, A and blood group recipients can get from A. Then B-type blood, only B and AB can receive the blood. Blood type AB can get only blood type AB recipients. And for blood type O, you can get you can receive blood type O for all four blood types A, B, and O. So according to this table, blood group AB. AB can receive blood from all other blood groups. And when you get, so the AB is called universal recipient. Blood group AB is called universal recipient. When you get blood group O, can donate all other blood groups. Therefore, blood group O is called universal donor. Compatibility of rhesus factor. When we are doing a blood transfusion, not only the blood group, but also the rhesus factor or the RH factor, we must be compatible. If the rhesus factor is present in one's blood, it's considered as RH plus. Present. RH factor present, RH plus. If rhesus factor is absent, RH minus. It's RH absent, it's RH minus. The recipient who are rhesus factor present or RH plus can receive both RH rhesus factor plus and rhesus factor absent blood or RH plus blood and RH minus blood. However, the RH rhesus factor absent blood, RH minus blood, recipients can receive RH minus blood only. They can't receive RH present blood or rhesus factor present blood. And here it shows donor recipient RH plus can get RH plus blood can get from RH plus and also minus, but from to RH minus blood you can get only from RH minus. Hence both the blood group and the rhesus factor have to be matched to donate blood. So we can't donate blood to each and every person. We should consider rhesus factor and the blood group. So I told there are 4 main blood groups, but when we are getting like with the rhesus factor, there are 8. A plus A minus, B plus B minus, AB plus AB minus, O plus O minus. The National Blood Transfer Service, NBTS, has a list of other qualifications a donor must fulfill. A donor has to complete the blood donor declaration correctly and hand it over to the NBTS before donating blood. And donor should be very healthy. So here it's an extra knowledge for the blood donor declaration and donation record. For your extra knowledge. Okay. Blood agglomeration. Clumping of the transfused blood particles in a body of a recipient is called agglomeration. This happens when the blood groups of a donor and recipients are incompatible, whether it's something about rhesus factor or the blood group. Blood clotting is an important process that prevents excessive bleeding when there is an injury or internal bleeding. This coagulation mechanism differs from the coagulation mechanism of agglomeration. When there is an injury or bleeding, the platelets at the damaged blood vessels break down and resulting chemical process from the blood clot and stop bleeding. I think you have observed this process when you there is an injury or bleeding. Maintaining a proper functioning of the blood circulatory system is vital for a healthy life of a person. There are some favorable habits to maintain healthy blood circulation system. Maintaining mentally less stressful lifestyle. Mentally less stressful lifestyle. Engage in physical exercise daily. Maintaining the correct body mass index or BMI value according to the height and weight with the healthy diet. Reduce salt consumption. Control conditions like high blood pressure and diabetics. Add more vegetables and fruits to meals. Reduce consumption of fatty foods. Refrain from smoking and liquor. Have more concern if there is a family history of heart attacks, high blood pressure, and diabetics. So I'm going to read the lesson summary. The human heart has 4 chambers. The upper chambers are the right atrium and left atrium. The lower chambers are right ventricle and left ventricle. Aorta is connected to the left ventricle while pulmonary artery is connected to the right ventricle. Left and right pulmonary veins are connected to the left atrium, while superior vena cava and inferior vena cava connected to the right atrium. Semilunar valves are at the beginning of main arteries. Bicuspid valve is between the left ventricle and left atrium. Tricuspid valve is in between right atrium and right ventricle. The blood vessels that take the blood away from the heart are arteries, and vessels that take blood towards the heart are veins. An artery ends up with capillary and veins and starts up with the capillary. The main functions of blood are transportation and protection. Depending on the protein components in blood cells, there are 4 blood groups as A, B, AB, and O. Compatibility of the blood group and the rhesus factor between the donor and the recipient is important for blood transfusion. AB is the universal recipient and O is the universal donor. Clumping of the transfused blood particles in the body of the recipient is known as blood agglutination. The mechanism of blood coagulation during an injury differs from the mechanism of blood coagulation in the process of agglutination. There is a list of qualifications a blood donor must fulfill. It is a vital to maintain proper functioning blood circulatory system as to lead a healthy life. So we finished grade 9 science lesson. Thank you for watching my video, and also don't forget to subscribe if you're more interesting. Again, thank you very much.